Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming at you to review a movie from I think 1986 by the name of Stand By Me, based on I guess a short story by Stephen King. This movie, the reason I'm reviewing this, just like the last movie I reviewed, American Graffiti, is we're actually able to see, this was really fun, a double feature at a drive-in movie theater of American Graffiti and Stand By Me, which was really great. And of course, you know, they were projected digitally, but still, I mean, to be able to see these old movies from the 70s and the 80s at a drive-in theater was just something that I never really ever expected to be able to do. So it was like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of a thing, and it was really fun. And I hadn't seen this movie for quite a long time. I did end up getting the DVD, probably clearance rack, long time ago, but I don't, it was probably, I don't know, maybe close to 10 years ago, so I probably haven't seen this in that long. And I guess there was something that just, I don't know, added to the magic of this movie, seeing it, well, for the first time at a drive-in theater. It was really just added to the magic of the movie, because it was just like, oh my gosh, seeing these characters, these young kids, and River Phoenix, and was it Will Wheaton, is that his name, and Corey Feldman, and is it Jerry O'Connell or whatever, like, oh my god, seeing these characters from this classic movie on the drive-in screen was really magic. And straight off the bat I gotta tell you, I mean, I like this a lot more than American Graffiti. This movie, I was trying to think, I can't think for the life of me. My dad very well may have taken me to see this at a second run theater. I can't remember for the life of me if I saw this in the theater or, you know, when it was relatively new on home video, but I did see it when it was relatively new, like probably in 87 or something like that. Whether it was, I don't know when it came out, I mean what time of 86, if it was, because if it came out like mid to late 86, we very well may have seen it like in a second run theater in 87 or something. But I would imagine that if not then, I probably saw it on home video in 87. I saw it when it was relatively new. And it was interesting because, you know, I don't know, I guess I was probably, when I saw this for the very first time, I was probably like maybe 3 years younger than the characters in the movie. So they seemed older to me, like older kids, of course, in the movie. But I mean, it's still very much the same era, you know, so I could definitely, you know, even being whatever age I was, if I was 10 or, yeah, I probably was maybe 10 when I saw this for the first time, I could still identify, I was still old enough where I could identify with the characters. And I mean, you know, 10-year-olds don't act that much different than 12, 13-year-olds. It's pretty much the same thing. And oh my gosh, I gotta tell you, and again, just like with American Graffiti, one of the reasons my dad was probably, you know, interested in this movie at the time when it came out was because it took place in that same era. I don't exactly remember the you know, the year this took place, but it was the same era as, you know, like American Graffiti, with the old music and the old hot rod cars and stuff like that. But I gotta tell you, watching this again for the first time in a while was really kind of magical. And although I will say that the movie does deal with some, what I would call, you know, cliched, you know, trite, or whatever the hell you call it, just sentimentality elements, like the dead older brother, you know, the sweeter than, you know, the best older brother in the whole world who's dead, and the dad that, you know, liked him and doesn't like the kid that's alive anymore, and you know, that kind of stuff. I felt, I don't know if, maybe the one thing I would have take out is the dead older brother, you know, the dead perfect older brother element. I don't know, there were, you know, but again, I guess, I don't know, I guess one of the reasons I like the movie so much is because it deals with the pain of not only life, but adolescent life and young life, you know. And it's not like kids, and it's funny because as an adult now and getting on in years, it's like, you know, I often look back to my childhood and wish I could go back to it. But then I think, wait a second, and then a couple seconds pass and I'm like, you know, childhood was a lot worse in a lot of ways than my life is now. I mean, I didn't have as much responsibility, but then there were other things like school and all kinds of other things that really sucked, and just flaky friends and stuff, that it's just like, yeah, maybe I don't want to go back to being a kid. I mean, I guess certain aspects, you know, you want to go back to certain aspects of being a kid, and then like not go back to school, but go back to be a kid without school and with your car and your freedom. You want the best of both worlds. You want the best of then and the best of now, all right now and forever, But what I'm trying to say is this movie, I guess the dramatic aspects of the movie, I guess as much as I don't necessarily like the perfect dead older brother thing, I guess you need that or need elements like that in order to portray, to get to the meat and bones of or the meat and potatoes or whatever that phrase is of the emotional elements that appear, that drive the movie, that appear later on as the movie wears on. I think there's like three separate characters who go through, three of the four characters go through emotional like arcs. Corey Feldman character with the abusive like crazy dad, who goes through a kind of a breakdown, and then the River Phoenix character who's like from a bad family and he's just seen as being bad, and then the Wil Wheaton character who thinks is really distraught over the fact that his older brother is dead, and really feels that his dad loved his older brother a lot more than his dad loves him, and all these kids, these three kids, it's funny how the fat kid's life is perfect as long as he's got, Skittles or whatever, but I don't think the fat kid has any dramatic things going on because he's the fourth wheel or whatever, but fourth wheel on a tricycle, but so those are the three, three of the four characters have dramatic moment arcs or whatever, and I gotta say, oh my gosh, let's face it, I'm a fan of 80s Corey Feldman. I mean, frickin', from, Gremlins to, and the funny thing is, I'm not a fan of Goonies. I don't really like that movie at all, and I really wish I could like it more than I do because it's got like Corey Feldman in it, but I really can't get myself to like that movie, but, seeing this is to me is like obviously Friday the 13th final chapter and stuff like that, but for me this is like one of the most pinnacle Corey Feldman movies ever. I think he's absolutely fantastic in this movie, and just at this right age. It's funny with child actors how they age so quickly. Like there'll be these different periods of their adolescence in each movie. Final chapter, he's this age, he's older, clearly older in this movie, and Stand By Me, he's clearly older. So it's interesting to see child actors age over the course of just 3 to 5 years, that's really interesting. And of course, having seen Explorers in the theater, if not once, but maybe twice in the first run theater, I was very well aware of River Phoenix at the time. And it was great to see him back again. Obviously, at the time, he was a big, upcoming young star, and he's absolutely great in this movie. I forgot how, I guess he was kind of pudgy-ish in Explorers, and I guess he's still kind of pudgy-ish in this movie as well. But I forgot how much I liked the four kids, primarily the main first three, but even Jerry O'Connell. He's like the, I don't know, comedic fourth guy or whatever, the fourth stooge, but I forgot how much I love the kids and the characters in this movie and the actors that play them. So I guess I'm almost done with the review, and I didn't even mention the storyline. I'll just briefly mention the storyline if you're young and you've never seen this movie or you don't know anything about it. It's basically about four kids getting wind of there being like a dead body of a boy who, I don't know if they know at the time or not, but what ends up happening is I guess he was on the train tracks, and I guess if I'm understanding correctly, he got hit by a train or something like that and threw from the tracks into the bushes or the trees or the adjoining woods area or whatever, and he's just like laying there or whatever. So, and I guess some older kids who I'm not going to even really mention the older kids. They're kind of like, I'm not going to mention much about the older kids. There's like older, like teen or early 20s punk guys in this movie as well and stuff. And Kiefer Sutherland, and there's another guy who would go on to be in Class of 1999 and stuff. He's some of the bad older kids and stuff. But I think, Jerry O'Connell is the younger brother of one of these characters. He overhears them talking about this, there's this dead body over there, and Jerry O'Connell goes back to tell his three friends in the tree house, which is really great. There's a continuity problem in this scene though, where River Phoenix has got a pack of smokes in his t-shirt sleeve and like some of the close-ups, and there's this wide shot where they forgot about the pack of cigarettes in his t-shirt sleeve. So every time they cut back to that wide shot, it's like there's no cigarettes in close-up. There they are, they're actually on this sleeve. But there's so many freaking great scenes. These four kids are just amazing in this movie. And I was like, I saw in the theater, drive-in theater thing is like rated R. I'm trying to remember, because when you think of a movie with four kids, you generally don't think, you're like, why is this rated R? And it's just like, oh, well, the swearing. And it's just so fun to, you generally don't see a movie like this with four young kids that's got them just swearing and cussing and stuff. And I gotta say, there's so many classic scenes with these kids together where it's just like one after the other where the chemistry is absolutely amazing. And oh my gosh, so that's the story. And one thing I forgot to mention is that Richard Dreyfuss at the beginning of the movie plays the older version of the Wil Wheaton character, and he narrates the movie. So it's one of these movies that starts in present day, and he's just seeing this newspaper clipping of, I guess, if I'm understanding correctly, the newspaper clipping is of, he just read in the paper of basically the River Phoenix character just having been stabbed and killed in some altercation in a bar or a restaurant or something like that, and that starts his little, he's a writer, and I think he writes some little memoir about it or whatever on his computer or whatever, but that's what the movie starts in present day, and then he goes back to tell the tale. And Richard Dreyfuss narrating the movie, and he's the older character of the Wil Wheaton character. So that's the basic premise of the movie. It's just them heading out on a trek, a day-long or 2-day-long trek, to go follow the railroad tracks over to see the dead body of the kid. I mean, that's kind of like, can you imagine, like, pitching this story or whatever to a studio executive? Like, yeah, I got this great story about these four kids, and coming of age tale of them, setting out on a trek to find a dead body. And the guy'd be like, yeah, whatever, buddy. I'll let you know. I've got your number. I'll let you know if we're interested. But I guess that's pretty much the gist of the story, and all of the, I guess, quote-unquote, whatever, self-discovery, or just the fun and the trials and tribulations and or self-discovery that happens through, as the kids through their voyage, as they travel, on the tracks and off some of the tracks and stuff to on their trek to find a dead body. And it's just funny how the irony, if you want to look at it deeper, about one kid's death can lead to so much, what am I trying to say? I can't find the words. It's like the one kid's having died and being killed by the train, one kid's death gave these four other kids a chance to just live so much life. It's just ironic if you think about it in that aspect of, one kid's death gave these other four kids just so much to, I guess, live for the moment, like the motivation to go out and on this trek to go find the dead body and look at the dead body, and just all of the stuff that, it was probably like the first time any of them had done anything like that, where they all lied to their parents about, each spending the night at each other's house, and of course they're all just going out on this trek or whatever. And it's just, oh my God, I think a lot of it had to do with just watching it at the drive-in theater. It's just like, oh my God, it felt like it was just back in 1986 and at the drive-in theater watching this movie. But it was an absolutely magical experience. And like I say, I don't know if I liked the movie this much. The drive-in theater might have added some magic to it or whatever, but it was a really great experience. And of course, at the end of the movie, they do end up finding the body. And it's funny because as a viewer, you're kind of like, you're kind of nervous throughout the course of the movie. Like, gosh, what's it going to look like, or what's it going to be like? And they do make up this boy, and it almost looks like a freeze frame, and maybe it is, I don't know, but where this kid's just laying there, he's got like some bruises on him, where he's just like on his back, and he's just, eyes open and dead looking or whatever. And it's not, overly gory or anything like that. But, and then of course, I guess one thing I don't really love about the movie, but they got to put it in there, of course, is once again the older kids, the teens or the early 20-somethings, who also, both groups of kids want to be the heroes for finding it, you know. So when the kids get there, the teenagers get there, and there's this confrontation of who's going to take credit for discovering the body. They end up, you know, they end up, the young kids end up having a gun, so they end up winning at this, you know, with a standoff with the older kids, and um, the young kids end up not taking credit but just making an anonymous call or whatever to have the body come and picked up. One thing before I end the review that I never really liked, but I mean I can understand how some people might find it humorous or entertaining, of course, is the infamous pie eating scene. Being a relatively sensitive kind of person myself, to me that kind of humor of, I can't even say I'm not even going to say what happens in the scene, but you can just do an internet search of, you know, Stand By Me pie eating scene and you'll understand what I mean. But that's always been a scene that, I mean, what I do love about it is just how it's so random, you know, and just like, it's just so random, but I guess I don't like, the randomness I appreciate about the scene, but I don't really like the content of the scene, so we'll just leave it there. I guess in a Nate cut, that scene would not exist, and you know, that's pretty much, to me, to make the movie better, that scene could just be axed altogether. But that's only because I have I have no interest in seeing that kind of stuff depicted on screen or in any other way whatsoever, whether it's reality or you know, a reenactment or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I forgot how great the performances were from all these kids, and I forgot that, I guess I kind of forgot that Corey Feldman was in it. I think I completely forgot River Phoenix was in it. I was blown away, so I am going to go 4 stars out of 4 stars for Stand By Me. As I said at the beginning of the review, I mean, I don't love like some of that mushy sentimentality with the perfect older brother and that kind of stuff, but again, you have to, if you're going to go the emotional route with this particular character, you have to have something to set up a reason for the emotion later on. So I guess, I mean, let's face it, there's pain in life as well. So it's just funny because when I see that guy who plays the dad from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, when I see him in anything, I just think of the coach from, you know, the coach at the gay bar, you know, from Nightmare on Elm Street 2. It's just funny. Or the guy from Total Recall, you know, Quado or whatever. It's just like that guy is either, when I see him, I either think of Coach or Quado or whatever. But I think that'll pretty much be my review for Stand By Me. As I said, the drive-in might be romanticizing a little bit, but I also think that it's an overall great movie because it just, one thing I love about it is just the kid, it just depicts, you know, boys, you know, boy friendships at that age just so perfectly well, and also just the beautiful outdoor scenery and stuff was also very appreciated by me as well. So I mean, this is pretty much more or less, and also the music, of course, the old songs and stuff was another plus, and the old cars once again. It isn't so much about old cars as much as American Graffiti, of course, but I always appreciate those old 50s music and old 50s cars when they show up in movies as well. So thank you very much for watching my review, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.